I have considered this very, very deeply and heavily, and I must tell you to not do anything you were about to see unless you are just in a bad spot. And I'm in a bad spot because of these and because of those. Those are not these spacers here. These are not absolutely necessary, but like I said before, those are antiquated and a little bit beat up. The original wheels off the Spitfire here. So I upgraded to these alloy wheels, Minilites. And so what you run into is you can have trouble with fouling against the front caliper, and then you need a spacer, and then you go down the rabbit hole where all the big evil rabbits live with big pointy teeth. And trust me, they're down there because I found them. This is an original, I don't know where that is, there you go. This is an original lug bolt, okay? And as you can tell, they're relatively short. This is the front hub right here. We'll go into this in a minute. So the vendor that sold me these and sold me those, they'd never even heard of these before. They'd never heard of lug. They did that. I'm sort of joking. But boy, they sure didn't want to talk about it. And the reason being is that I don't really have one that doesn't have this in there done already. I'll tell you in a minute. This has been slightly modified. You can tell by the little ring right here, and I'll tell you about that. So, boy, this is just making me real nervous talking about this, and I don't want to, but I don't really have any choice. So, you end up in this deep world of trying. Now, this is 3/8/24, a kind of a rare size, small, but this isn't the only car that uses 3/8/24. There's a lot of European cars and a lot of other vehicles that use them smaller than this, you know, like Polaris things and whatnot. See, I did good, didn't I? I found a longer stud, but I also got stuck on this thing. So the depth here is a good bit more than the depth here. So you end up with 5 or 6 threads on the. That's all you're going to get on this. You also want to get a non-answer from anybody. Ask them what to torque a Minilite to. You can't get an answer on it, but you can calculate that. And I'm not going to tell you what mine is, but you can calculate by the size and threads and all this other stuff. I'm just nervous as a cat about this. But I don't have any choice. I'm nervous telling you about it more than what I am doing. So I wasn't going to say a word about it. Okay, so let's talk about lug bolts. You got the button end. You've got the shank right here, which is dependent on diameter and number of teeth. And then you taper down, and then you end up with only like this much usable. Now, let's see if I can show you what this means. So, this is the Minilite, and so if you take everything into consideration, you're coming through that rear hub and the front hub, which is at least this thick. So you calculate that, and look at what you got. You got like next to nothing. So you don't really have a choice. And I don't know what the part number is on these. Doesn't really matter, I guess. But Muzzy set of 16, 75 by 24 thread by 1 and 7 long. New. They come in pack of 16. It's for a different vehicle. So the only thing I could find, and maybe I'm wrong, and is a much smaller shank, which would be where my thumbnail is, this area right here. So these are basically useless, and they're not too hard to knock out. But you know, put a nut over the end of them and knock them out. That's what I do. So, what did I do to make up for this deficit? Well, I didn't know what to do exactly. Then I found in my hose clamp kit these. And I got my Dremel and I cut off the ears so it's just perfectly round. And I had plenty of them. And you end up with this. Okay, that is not optimal. You can't depend on that, because if you tighten up your lugs, this is going to spin. Okay, so what do? That's what I'm going to do, and it is against my angels of better mercy and whatnot. But I've got, in order to get the front hub off, you have to pull the calipers, and then you have to pull the wheel bearings. It's a good time to repack and check your front wheel bearings, and clean your stub off there and everything. There's the caliper hanging there. Always hang your caliper up. So you end up in a deep, dark world. So you're wondering what all that conglomeration is. I'll tell you in a minute. So I'm ready to clean this front hub, knock these in, and weld them to the front hub. Now, I happen to know that, what's it called, Spit Bits? That guy's pretty good. I liked him when I was restoring the car. Very, very knowledgeable fellow. I enjoyed everything that he helped me with. And somewhere in Portland, somewhere in Washington State or something. I know there's piles of these hubs in the world. And I'm not really too concerned about ever having to change these again, because the original ones have been on there since 1970. So you got 50-something years out of them. And so I'm going to weld these in. And the spacers that I put on there are, if nothing but alignment. That's all they're going to be, is alignment. So I'm getting ready to clean this hub and weld these in. Now, you're gonna have to stitch weld this thing. You know, go around little dots and go around little dots and keep this hub as cool as you can. You don't want to warp it or anything like that. So then you run into, okay, that's great for the front hub. So we're gonna pull the axles out back here. Well, the answer to that is no. I'm not going to pull the axles out. But what I am going to do, and I was playing around with a couple ideas, and I won't go into it because I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and pull the rear brakes off here, and I'm going to tack weld in right here, and weld those studs are already on there. And but you can tell that I've made these funky spacers to keep them very tight. So they will be very tight against the hub, and they're very much aligned. I know that looks crazy, but it's just spacers. And I'm all set to go. And just remember, that is a hose clamp right there, okay? That's all that is, just for alignment purposes. So I'm going to tack weld those on best I can, so I can pop it in, in a pretty good fashion there. Once again, that's pretty thin, so don't overheat that thing. So I'm going to pull the shoes off. It only takes a minute. Be sure to disconnect your battery. Be sure to disconnect your alternator whenever you're welding on a car. So I just didn't have another way to do it. I couldn't find... I didn't say this. There's a place near me that is like the fastener capital of the world. I mean, I have gone in there with the weirdest things ever, and they got it. They'll have it. They go, do you want it in hex head? How do you? They ask if you go in there with a fastener that's very difficult. They'll ask you what style heads you want. I mean, really, I took this in there and said, oh, we don't have that. The whole place went, oh, we don't have something. I guess they get stumped now and then, but they didn't have any of these, and I was mortified. So then I have never been there in decades and not come out of there with what I needed or better. So then I went to a couple of auto parts stores and they said, nope, don't got nothing like that. Now you can get this. It won't help you any if you got that kind of wheel. So my disappointment was in calling various vendors around the planet. Either they haven't run into this, which I'm sure they have, or they don't want to talk about it. It's just, I don't think it's like that Rolls-Royce story about the axle breaking, and Rolls-Royce fixed it on the side of the road, and the guy went in to pay for it, and they said, what axle? Who are you? They don't want to talk about it because they didn't want anybody to know that had happened. So they don't want to know, they don't want any liability for this, and I don't either. So you may consider just not buying these. I had to because the car was a little wobbly. It was okay, but and I'm not planning on going 118 in this thing, but it does matter. You know, it is a matter of safety there too. Where do you want to be safe? You want wobbly old steel rims that are rusting around like John's trailer wheels right here. I had the same problem with Daphne. When I got her, the 1957 rims were rotten and useless to me. So I put on these Pacer wheels, and I didn't have any. It looks like there's missing lug bolt there, but it's nut, but it's not. It's up in there because I had a stud brake, and well, there you go. See what I mean? And so these have been great. They've been on there about 10 years, and those have been fantastic. But I didn't run into what I've run into here. Just basically, these are just too darn short. So that's a long dissertation on this, and I'll go into it more in this episode. But you wouldn't catch me going too far. I was not really okay with it, and then it just kind of grinded my gears more and more and more that I was only getting like this much bite on this stud. And my caliper was amazingly close to the back of this, and I was okay with it. And if you look at my previous video, see I was kind of okay with it, and then I wasn't. And then just somehow your gut chart starts to churn and all that other stuff. So anyway, more later. All right, well, I did it. It's all done now. So I can't touch it for a while, but there it is. I welded them in place, just sort of stitched them a little bit on each side, and that's the best I'm gonna do. And that's all you need. So I did it. So the rear wheel's on and torqued, and all I gotta do is put the front hub back together. And I think it's gonna work. Then I'm gonna let that sit there for at least 20 minutes and cool off. Got a little grinding to do too, just a little bit of touch up on, not the welds, but where the earthing strap went on right here, just sort of made a little bit of a mess. I don't want anything going wrong. I want everything flat when it comes to hubs. So we're getting there. Okay. It's basically sprocket spacers. I haven't been here for a very long time. I am going to do this thing that I've been doing, changing the studs, and I kind of forgot. I guess I should have reviewed my video before I came down here, and I'm going to get restarted on this thing. Luckily, she's on the lift now. I have one wheel that's mostly done, and that is this one, front right. And I don't know how this is going to work, but we're going to find out. The other thing is I'm going to do something about that. That's just stupid looking. That thing just wobbles when it's it makes it look like it's plastic, because it is. But I don't know what you can tell, but these tires and whatever size spacers I used really just just make it look so much better as long as it doesn't rub. And I don't think it will, but you know, we'll see. It's pretty tight there, but this car's pretty tight. If it rubs, I'll probably just tighten up the suspension more. I probably, you know, won't try to make it, you know, a little bit spacier. I probably might put some kind of other springs in it or something. Let's pull the other side off, other stuff off, and do this thing. So it's been interesting. It's been a problem. I am, like I say, I'm pretty disappointed in. I don't want to say the vendor, but anybody that sells you Menolites or maybe even Panasports for this car, they need to know what kind of trouble you're going to get into. She's up where she belongs and all cleaned out in there. And there's the pile of dirt that I got out of it. It kind of don't help for getting the drum off. And then those just come out pretty easy. Gotta have your magnet there. And I just was going to, got to be able to get it down in there. This is a fairly good magnet, obviously. And there you go. And then let's put these over here, and I'll show you why the back end is lucky for me. And put these here. Put those there. I don't want you to see them. So I got everything ready to go. Kind of hard to do this, but it will go in there this way. I guess hemostats would help me. Let's go get some. Okay, so there. And then you're lucky back here. Oh, it's just hard to do one-handed, but you can do it this way. See? Trust me, it works. I think it's 28 degrees in here, so I'm gonna have to call it a night. It's about 7 o'clock, and I gotta go into work here in a little bit anyway. So I've got those ready for welding. I know that looks funky, but it works. And I've got to pull the brakes off, like I said earlier. So that's gonna be done pretty soon. We got to change the front ones. But this is what I was talking about. See, there's a little bit of a rattle there too. I really didn't realize that. And I heard a rattle and I didn't know what it was. And so sometimes you get lucky. So what are we going to do? We're going to get these long screws here and these big fender washers. And I think I'm only going to need one on each side. And I'm going to put them between this piece of metal right here and this gravy plastic. So, and then I'll show you how I do it. You know, washers on both sides, lots of nuts, and sort of clamp them and all that stuff. We'll see that tomorrow. It'll be fun. And I'm rinsing out the clutch mastering system, clutch hydraulic system. So I'm going to have to go in. I can't hardly move my fingers anymore. I like it cold, but, you know, there's a break point, you know, golden mean in all things. What a strange light. I've got a little time today. I don't have much, but I'm going to get this wheel back on there. I've already got these tack welded behind here, and we're going to pull this stuff off. I just really don't have long, but I like leaving the house knowing that I have accomplished something. I might even put one of those on, like I said I was going to do. But right now, let's finish this back wheel and get this back in order. Wow, see, that's all the brake dust that was there. Kind of messy, ain't it? God, it's a beautiful day. Look, it's that weird kind of sunlight thing. I just love stuff like that. I didn't need to be going to T. I want to go to W. Okay, we're over here now. We're at the front left corner. And boy, this is pretty to look at. Oh, now's the time to do this. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take this apart. Well, those must be the original rotors. Look at that. I've got some brake pads coming that are supposed to, ooh, a little groovy, not too bad. The brake pads are supposed to knock the varnish off this, whatever it is, and then it goes away. I'm looking forward to that. So that sounds so interesting to me. So anyway, let's drill this stuff and put that in. Just remember that. Let's see what it looks like in a minute. Look at that. Just that little bolt right there. Just so when I drop the bonnet down, I can actually adjust the way this fits against here. And I am so happy. Oh, I lost my little piece of wire, didn't I? Oh, I'm gonna need that. Hold up my caliper. And that's a caliper right there, by the way. Whoa! I am digging that. Had that in my power all these years and didn't know it. Of course, I didn't really pay that much attention, but see now. The other thing I'm going to do, and come heck or hairlip in the Pope or Bears on Bear Creek or whatever, I'm going to get these level back here. That's always kind of bugged me. See how it's droopy? It's like Droopy Dog with that stupid Irish dog that's okay, whatever, it don't matter. I'm gonna get those up. I might show how I do it. I think what I'm gonna do is just put a jack under here and just jack that thing up and put some shims here. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but these are going to be even because it makes it look dumb. It just makes it look droopy. I didn't care too much, but I'm now that I'm kind of making her look sharp, I want her to look sharp. So let's, wow, that's all it will. Look out. Now, it's not like, yeah, I know I'm about to insult a lot of people, but that's what I do because I'm very truthful. And if you don't know Joe Biden's middle name, yeah. Okay. So anyway, it's like those Plymouths, those big Plymouths of the 60s and 70s. They're so big and tough. No, they're not. What they got is these little tiny rods that keep the fenders from vibrating. Well, at least they did it, but you know it's not that hard. And this is not a big hunkin' 457.2 whatever thing. So, but most of the time, you look under those cars and they got these big long stay rods. There's some of those in Daphne actually too. No, I'm not going to get too critical, but we're going to fix this thing up. It's good. Where did you get the dog? So everything happens for the best. Well, not really, but there is a little clont there. So good we taking this loose. It spins good, but it spins a little. There you go. Hear it. Gonna go the Batman way. So noise alert. I like that. Got it spinning and everything. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. I was trying to be nice to those earlier. I was so uncomfortable talking about this earlier. I'm going to have to get comfortable because this is the way it is. So I've already got my thing around there. See, you don't have a chance of getting that thing in there because of the way it hits it. Not a chance in the world. So, and then there's that, and then there's, now I usually try to find a very nice clean place to keep those and stick cloth in those things. They actually look pretty good. The races look pretty good in there. So there those are. And now we can take this off. And then there's the goo. So, all right. So now what I got to do is
I got to get these off right here. And I think I'll just do that right here. It's just 9/16. I was putting it in the vise, but I don't think I need to. Let's get some nice clean blue towels over there and keep any wayward dirt from getting into the bearing assembly and spindles and races and all that stuff. So boy, I tell you what, I gotta tell you, I know that rotor looks bad, but I don't think new ones are worth half of what these are. Those might be original. They're very thick, so I'm not afraid of those in the way. So let's just pop them out, pop them in, and go back to the welder there. I usually don't show welding because I'm afraid it's going to hurt my camera lens. There, pretended. The light's bad because of where the sun is, but you'll get the gist of it in a second. Where's that? That was actually missing? Oh, okay, well, better to know now. It was missing a lock washer. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it was missing. Well, things you never quite know. So now you can do remember, I'm doing this one-handed, okay? She's a coming. See, told you. All right, so let's put that there. And then, and only then, can you do that right there. Okay. And I've already got my stuff ready. Thought I had it ready. It's over here somewhere. So before you weld, that was a big mess. What? I thought it was fitting in there tighter than that. Thought wrong. Okay. This and that, and then boy, am I ever beat. Okay, hang on a second. See, and then you can pull it tight, and then you can just wire brush this off a little bit right there on the hub, and give her the old weld. I weld, you know. So I'm gonna have to double check those, make sure they're completely flush. See, they don't. That one looks a little proud for some reason. So we're ready to weld, but the sun has just hit the back side of the trees there, so that closes us out for today. I don't know. Let's just close it out.